Hey, what's up guys? This is the 8-month and 1-day check-in. Just wanted to check in with you guys. In my last video, I talked about how, a lot of the things that I've noticed after reaching my 8-month milestone. And not much has changed since the 8-month and 1-day milestone, 8-month, 1-day check-in. Mentally, had, a mentally, like a start to the day. I was, relaxing and trying to give myself time to put down my thoughts about what someone had thought, right? Someone was posing a question, and so I was, resting as anyone would, as well as then coming up with my response per se to what this person has been saying. And I found that I was really good at decoding, mentally just decoding things and kind of figuring out, okay, out of what I'm looking at here, there's the information that's being shown, and then there's also what I'm learning from it, what my intuition is telling me. And that's something that today, when I was coming up with that answer, I was able to tap in with quite easily earlier today. Mentally, I had the option to, associate with others for a brief period of time, and I so gladly didn't think that that would benefit my creative capabilities or abilities. I really just was kind of focused on my craft, and physically I decided to stay, secluded, stay by myself, continue getting the rest that I needed, especially when pushing the body, when working out a lot, just getting that exercise that's needed to continue to stay healthy. It's important to get the right kind of rest that you need, and I'm not just talking about, sitting around, lounging around. I mean, you actually need to rest your body, right? Because it needs time to regenerate and to go into a state of regeneration. And that's something that you can physically feel, right? Roping this back into, the nicotine addiction, because I know it's wild that 8 months away, 8 months and 1 day since I last had any nicotine, so I'm like, just kidding, but like, just to say, I wasn't really even talking about nicotine just then, which is not a good thing, not a bad thing, it just is. But when roping this back into nicotine addiction, physically, when you're rolling around with that device, you're rolling around with that pack of cigarettes or whatnot, you will need that time. Like, let me say this, if you are taking some big hits, one big hit after another big hit, 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 you actually will get out of breath. And I don't care, I know, but I don't care who you are. You're going to need something to soothe the throat, like some sort of a liquid, Otherwise, you go to bed like that, your throat's going to be shot. It's going to be dry in the morning. It might even be sore. But that's what I'm saying. It's the physical effect that it has on the body, and that's something that was always apparent during my nicotine addiction. If I wanted to get a lot of use, like I wanted to hit my device a lot, I would make sure I had a drink or something so that I would just hit the device till I couldn't anymore. And I'd immediately, not immediately, but if I needed to do it immediately, if I needed to wait a little bit, I would, but I would drink something and it would immediately like feel like I was not gonna die anymore. And I think it's just that harsh foreign chemicals that are in it, you know, either irritating the throat, making it dry, because it's not that's not the regular air that it's used to breathing in, so it's getting irritated. But yeah, the more and the more you do it, you might even get like a flavor in the back of your throat, which is something weird you can wake up with that I noticed, and I'm pretty sure that, you know, that was right along with my nicotine addiction. Pardon me, but it was an effect of my nicotine addiction. Well, not only that, but when you do smoke a lot, you'll get dry nose, right? Like scratches inside of the lining of your nose, and it leads to dryness and kind of a buildup of scabs, and that's just when you don't moisturize that area, or you know, it's dry from having so much smoke in it. Roping that back to what I was talking about before, physically you feel it, you know, you feel the changes of, you know, your lungs becoming able to breathe at a more fuller capacity, and that's a positive side. You know, a lot of the nicotine addiction that I recall, when I would be hitting my device up to the point where I, like I've talked about on my channel before, where I'd do it right before I go to bed. And if you haven't watched this one, I believe it was in the last 3 videos, I'm pretty sure. One of the last 3 videos, I talked about how I would literally use it to, you know, knock me out at night and then to get me up in the morning. And when I was doing this at night, I would even almost gag sometimes, to where once I actually threw up in my mouth. But that's just because I was ingesting so much nicotine at one time. And this is a great time for me to actually add in something that happened to me, or not something that happened to me, but something that I did when I was a senior in high school, maybe a junior in high school. But I had a nicotine patch because I had just been traveling out of state for a few days with no device. Well, I brought my device with me, but it died. So, you know, I was having withdrawals, so I got nicotine patches. As soon as I got back to, you know, the state that I live in, which is Arizona, as soon as I got back home, I got a device, went to a party with some friends, and I had the patch on, and I was drinking, and I was hitting the nicotine device as well. And some people were like, "You're never gonna quit. Like, just take that off. You shouldn't do that. Isn't that not smart to do? Isn't that dangerous?" You know, I didn't care. All I cared about that I didn't have to quit right in that moment, and it was kind of freeing. So that just goes to show like how high of nicotine levels I've dealt with, like nicotine patch on and still hitting it. And that's not even the only time I did that. You know, following that scenario, the next 4 weeks had gone by. No, I want to say 4 months, right, had gone by, and I had tried to continuously quit with these patches, you know, taking these patches to work, not having a device, but, you know, I'd still end up having a device, either going to get one on, you know, get one on break, or whether or not I had to ask a coworker or something like that. But yeah, believe it or not, have had experience with nicotine patches, and they don't really do anything for you. They just give you a constant like light buzz that's almost throughout the whole body. But that didn't do anything for me, especially when it came to the oral fixation of actually breathing in smoke and it going past the throat into the lungs. It's wild because I never had really good impressions of the nicotine patches. You know, those times where I had kept failing to quit nicotine, you know, I knew that my time had been coming, but I had kept telling myself, you know, I don't think I'm ready. I'm just not ready. And so I kept putting it off, just kind of got comfortable with my use. And then, you know, I kind of was beating myself up because I thought, you know, I'm weak, I'm never going to be able to quit this. And this ties into what I was saying with my video yesterday, was you don't know how easy it is till you actually quit. And I know it's easy for me to say because I've already quit, and I can be talking to you guys who out there are either, you know, currently addicted to nicotine right now, practicing moderation, you know, and aspiring to use moderation instead of being addicted to substances. I can easily say that, you know, it's easier said than done, but it truly is. Like, once you quit, you realize that the addiction's the really hard part. Quitting's the easy part. That's what I meant by that, in reality. Emotionally, you know, today was... let me talk about physically today. I had an amazing, I'd say, 5-6 mile bike ride, you know, there and back, 3 miles, 2.5 each way, roughly 6 mile bike ride. It was amazing. That bike ride I'm trying to do it at least twice a week now, that specific route, and it continuously gets easier and easier, yet it's still a hard workout, and that just shows that, you know, you can build the muscles in the legs continuously, whether you are targeting them in weights, right? Whether you are doing leg, like lifting weights with your legs, or just riding on bike, or swimming, or even running, or simply walking. You are building the strength over and over and over again. The more that you do it, the more consistent that you are. And that just is, you know, in similarity, quitting nicotine. It's each day you do get stronger and stronger the more you start to detach from, you know, your old ways of nicotine addiction. And so that was really astounding. Following that bike ride was an amazing, you know, back and shoulders workout. Just felt motivated, right? Motivated to actually get in there, get the work done, and then reap the results. Emotionally, it was emotionally high day, I would say. If where the low points were, they were there to teach and to get out of that, you know, don't be so hard on yourself right now. You can be as hard as you want on yourself, but that's not going to change who you are, right? Obviously, you can change how you act and these things, but it's not going to truly change your identity. You know, let that shine through and let that be what is stable and firm, not you, you know, beating yourself up, you know, having unrealistic ideas of where you should be, reminding yourself that you are who you are, and to trust your intuition and to trust your creative abilities, and to trust all your abilities that you have, and to trust every quality in yourself that you know makes you special. So those times that when you are experiencing an emotionally low moment, or a time when you feel like you're stuck in an emotion and that you just can't, you're very fixated on it and you can't get out of it, it's to remind yourself that this is telling you something about yourself. Learn something about this. Forge emotional stability out of this scenario as best as you can, right? Wherever you can, find that middle ground. Find that stability in that situation. And if you are going to get through the day, it's going to be being strong, being resistant to all of those things that might get you in an emotional funk, but it's about pushing through, and in those moments reminding yourself that your emotions don't have to control you, right? You can be in control, and you don't have to let your emotions control your actions. So yeah, emotionally, it was a high-vibing day, no connections to nicotine today. Emotionally, you can feel however you're gonna feel, and if it were to come up where I was like, you know what, I feel like I wanna smoke nicotine or whatever, even though it's been 8 months since I've done it. I know if I were to give in to that thought or feeling, that I would take a hit of the nicotine and it would make me feel however I felt, lightheaded, all those effects that the nicotine has on us, the blood rushing to the head, you feeling lightheaded, feelings of euphoria, and then minutes later or however long later, maybe a half hour later or whatnot, I'm gonna get the urge to do it again, just because it wants me to do that. It wants the instant gratification of another dose of the nicotine, right? But I know mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually that the stability that I'm experiencing as of right now far outmatches what I would do if I had given into that. And there is maybe a chance that I would consider trying it again, obviously under moderation, but that wouldn't have anything to do with affecting my mission or anything of that nature. And actually, I wouldn't even want to do this. Like I've talked about in many videos before, this is not something I want for myself. So, as a ex-user of nicotine, ex-addict, whatever you want to call it, I feel the responsibility to tell you that even though it's been 8 months and 1 day without it, I can still ponder about using nicotine one day. I have that ability, because I'm an individual, I have the freedom to do whatever I please to do. But for me, it's not that simple, right? I gave 5.5 to 6 years of my life to smoking nicotine, vaping nicotine. So for me, there's that saying, work hard, play hard. But, if you're anything like I was, you're playing way harder than you're working, because you can vape way more. You can ingest nicotine and do that, without even consciously being aware of it. Just by it being a part of your behavior. You don't notice how much you do it, because, you don't stop, right? So you're not really paying attention to it as much. But, you know, for me, it's gotta be like, it's a maybe if I put in the work, you know, if I feel it's deserved, you know, and that, even at that, it's like, I can view it that as even a punishment, because it's like, why would I want to go back to that? But I'm just saying this to give you guys an idea that whereas you may feel like you're in a jail cell when you're addicted to the substance, when you're off the substance, you feel this sense of freedom. Even if you want to try it in moderation, you have that sense of freedom. So that's what I'm trying to get to here and kind of explain to you guys. Spiritually, today, I connected with my mission at large, you know. Spiritually, my mission to be a teacher, I was connected to it today by being able to come up with my own, you know, depiction, my own intellectual property regarding religions of old versus religions of new. I won't get into it directly right here, right now, but I want to say to talk about, you know, spiritually, because I'm doing a check-in. I'm doing the 8-month, 1-day check-in, spiritual check-in, connected with my mission at large in ways that were, you know, applied, in ways that felt like they were in a creative flow, right? It got me into a comfortability of picking out, you know, what's there and what I can use from that to learn something and to also teach something as well from what I learned. And yes, that's a big one spiritually about today. And I did mentally, I did physically, spiritually, emotionally. You know, this is the 8-month and 1-day check-in. You know, only a day has gone past since the 8-month milestone, and you know, I hope that you are doing well. You know, I hope that you're doing well. Like I've talked about in my videos, I like to connect with the people that watch my videos, you know, just to show you that, you know, we have, we can relate to each other because we've been through certain things like nicotine addiction. And I'm here for you. I'm going to be making these videos regardless. If they help you, please show some support. And you better get used to my face because I'm going to be doing this for the long haul. And yeah, guys, if you have any questions, I'm going to leave my socials, I'm going to leave my links in the description. Like I said, good luck to you out there that are trying to learn about this. I'm going to continue to inform you guys and motivate you guys the truth, you know, regardless. That's going to be it for the 8-month and 1-day check-in. Peace.